Hi guys, welcome. For the last few days, I didn't upload any videos because I was busy with one thing and another. But this is my first video that I'm uploading after I crossed 1K subscribers on my YouTube channel. So first of all, thank you so much to all of my viewers for supporting me and for helping me reaching 1,000 subscribers. So this may not seem like a big thing to most of you, and this is not a big thing technically, but to someone like me who started YouTube 6 years back only as a I uploaded occasional videos, and that too even today I don't upload like really professionally edited videos. I just say whatever I like on YouTube, and so considering all of that, the support that I've got, I mean 1K subscribers is still huge to me. Okay, so thank you so much for 1K subscribers and for your support. That number 1K is not important. What is important is that even I am aware that not everyone who is subscribed to my channel right now watches all of my videos or takes them seriously. And I mean, I don't blame them. People have a lot of work to do in their life other than watching my videos. But still, at least some of you do take me seriously, take my views seriously, and argue with me. I mean, that's how we grow. You need not agree with me, but at least you listen to some of what I have to say, and that means everything to me. That is more important than that the number of subscribers. But yeah, still it feels good. 1K is a the first significant milestone on YouTube. So in this video, I will be talking about you can see the title of the video, right? So this is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. So this is a line from the movie The Dark Knight. I mean, I have not watched a lot of movies, but this is one of the few movies that I really liked, and I've watched more than once. And I've talked about this movie a lot also previously on my YouTube channel, and maybe in some of my blogs also, if I remember right. So this character Joker interests me greatly. I mean, as it was portrayed in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. There are some other movies as well about Joker, Batman. Now I have not watched them and not aware of them, but from the reviews that I've read about the other movies, I think the way Joker is portrayed in those other movies, I really don't. I mean, that does not really appeal to me. So in this video and in general, when I will be talking about Joker, the Joker I will be talking about will be the Christopher Nolan's Joker. Okay, just to clarify things, because there are other movies of Joker as well, other different uh, portrayals of the character. Okay, and I have not read the original DC comics, so I'm not sure how, but I like the portrayal in the Dark Knight. So this is a famous line from the movie The Dark Knight, and it was near the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, when Joker says to Batman that this is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. So now my question is, what did he actually mean by this? What was Joker talking about? So let's analyze this from a scientific point of view. A few days back we had Friendship Day, right? On 3rd August, I think. Today's a few days back on 3rd August we had this happy friendship dance. Of course, this is just I mean, there is like, if between true friends, they don't really need a single day to celebrate. This is just a trend, you can say, because people will give WhatsApp statuses and all these I don't know, these friendship ribbons and all those stuff. That is not only a good business strategy for those people who make the ribbons and make these wishes and all, that they also make some money, and also it's a kind of showing off. I don't think true friendship really needs that kind of no, this a particular day devoted to friendship, or a friendship day. Okay, so on friendship day, everyone becomes everyone's best friend all of a sudden. And in times of need, people don't even recognize their so-called friends. So anyway, let me not go into that. But the point is, so would you call like Joker and Batman were, but like conventionally they are perceived as enemies, and yeah, in a way they are definitely rivals. But are they really enemies? I mean, in a way they are also friends. That's my personal feeling, because friend is always not just the person who always agrees with whatever you've got to say, who always hangs around with you. Maybe you go to the cinema together, you go to the movie together, you hang around together. Is that enough? I mean, does that qualify someone uh, as your friend? Because I mean, of course, in most cases it does, because what most ordinary people are looking for in a friend is a companion, someone who will not let you feel lonely, whether it's meaningless gossip or whether it's slowly killing your creativity or yourself, but still you have someone to talk to, and you at least have someone to showcase to the world that, look, I am not alone, I have this friend. So it's more a kind of coping mechanism on our part, in most cases, at least that's what I feel. But we should also realize that often our friends, so-called friends, uh, in the name of gossip, meaningless, and all this stuff, they waste our time and they take out, or I should say, they kill our originality, our creativity. Because creativity flourishes, at least in my experience. Like, I cannot say if this is generally true, but I feel this is because I have heard a few other people also make this claim, and for in my case, I can definitely, like validate this claim that creativity and new ideas, they come to me, they flourish, and my own self, the way I am, this originality, this creativity, that flourishes when I am alone, all alone. I mean, I don't mean that I'm inside a room just alone, though. I can be among friends in college. I mean, I can be among people in college. I can be in a crowd, but I'm not really trying to fit in the crowd. Physically, maybe I am in the crowd. I go to college. I mean, I am not a, like, it's not like I don't go outside. I don't go to college. I don't go to conferences. No, I do all of those things, and I interact with people as well, as much as required. But and never that kind of like, no, he or she is my best friend. I'll getting dependent on them and like feeling like, no, they really mean, they really understand us. Because these kind of feelings are very natural for most humans. At some point of time in our lives, we all have felt like, no, that person really understands us. But after a few years or a few months, I don't know, if you're lucky, few years, if you're unlucky, maybe it could be a few days or a few weeks or a few months, you realize that no, it's just she or he is just ordinary, like just like everyone else, doesn't understand me really. Maybe during that period of time, we got along well, because we all need company. We all crave attention so much that our brain often unconsciously makes us believe that no, that person is special, she or he is my friend. So this is just this was there was an experiment in neuroscience, if you're aware of it. People were, their eye movements were kind of tracked using a device, and people were told to look at the room, a room in general, and then they were asked, after this, they were asked, they were taken to a separate room, and the subjects of the experiment, they were asked to recall whatever they have seen in the room. If I remember right, now this is now I'm not like this is I'm not writing a research paper right now, just a YouTube video, so I'm not sure if I remember the experiment right. Something along these lines was being done by neuroscientists, has been done by neuroscientists. I'm not sure if it's exactly true, so like it's exactly accurate the way I'm saying it, but I think you'll get the idea. So what they found was that people, the subjects, they couldn't, as is obvious, they could not remember each and every tiny detail of the room, but more surprisingly and more importantly, they often added, or added new parts to their narrative, which was not actually true, just to fill in the picture. And your brain does this often. There is a blind spot in your eye, in your retina, the place where the your optical nerve has touched the eye, that retina. I think it's called the retina. Yeah. So that is a blind spot, because whatever you're seeing, your eye is like a lens, right? So it's the image is formed in the retina. So the retina offers a very good surface for the image to be formed, except at that point where the optic nerve has like joined the retina. At that point, it should be a blind spot technically, because how can the image be formed? Because the nerve has gone, just a single point, and that is actually a blind spot. So actually, whenever you are seeing anything in your field of vision, there is a small blind. There should be a small blind spot, but you don't see it. Like when you are seeing, you see normally. Actually, what happens is that it's very small. This blind spot is just a dot in this entire landscape. So what your brain does is that unconsciously, of course, this is an unconscious process. It's not like your brain is running on some AI model and generating AI images or anything of the sort. But it's an unconscious process. But what your brain does is it fills in the gap. I mean, the brain has, for your eyes can see the rest of the field of view, like the rest of the picture, the rest of whatever is in front of you, and the optic nerve and everything, through the optical chassis and all, the information reaches your occipital lobe in the brain, and then the image is formed. So since the brain can see, I mean, maybe almost say 99% of the image, and so suppose the blind spot is here, but the brain can see what is around here. So using that knowledge and using your past experience, the brain kind of fills in the gap and to give you a clear vision, because that's an evolutionary advantage. If wherever you go, there's a black spot always in your field of vision, you wouldn't like that, right? But that's kind of, I won't say it's entirely made up by the brain, but it's kind of filled in, because it's just a dot. So the brain kind of fills in the gap using the surrounding information, and it works very smoothly. And there is also something called the internal model of the brain. So often your brain, whenever you are seeing your sense organs, whenever you see something, or you hear something, or you smell something, or you feel something, like you touch something, it's hot or cold, whenever all of this is happening, your brain does not every time consciously process each and every information that's coming from your sensory organs because that would not be energy efficient. Your brain uses very less amount of power, yet it's driving so much complex thoughts, so much complex machinery, and such a complex organism as you, as a human. Yet it consumes very less power, a power like a small bulb or something. A small bulb uses the same power as your entire brain, and all the bulb can do is give you some light. That's all, nothing more, nothing else. But your brain can do so much using the same amount of power actually. So the brain is a biological organ, so it needs to be energy efficient, and for that the brain often, it doesn't take in all the sensory information that's coming in from your sense organs. What it does is, suppose you look right, suppose this is my room, I know what is in my room and not, right? So if I can quickly show you, I don't know, just to give an example. So right, here are my books, and my some of the prizes I've got. Here are some of the posters on my wall, and all this kind of thing, right? So, and here also there are some other posters here. So this is my room. I have been living in this room for the last few years, and so if I look right, my eyes will see whatever I just showed you on my camera. But my eyes will, but the brain will not take each and every data from my eyes in this case, because this is familiar to me, the environment around me is familiar to me. So what my brain will do is, it already has an expectation that, okay, I am in this room, it has formed a lot of memories, lot of like kind of autopilot, so it will run on autopilot. So the brain knows that if I look right, my right, then I would expect to see these books and these prizes and this showcase kind of thing. I already have that expectation. So this is called the internal model. So the brain already has formed an image inside, and what the brain does is, it just matches it with your sensory data. It will not take in the sensory data and analyze the entire data, because that would not be energy efficient. It will just match with whatever my eyes are telling me, and whatever the brain has already formed an expectation based on all these past experiences. And if it matches, very well. If it does not, then the brain modifies the internal model. I mean, that is still more energy efficient than analyzing all your sensory data every time. That's how it works. It's very strange, isn't it? Now, so what I was actually telling you is that, so the brain often fills in the gap for you, and you are not even aware of that. It's an unconscious process. So we were discussing this quote. This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and then we moved on to friendship. So we often feel that, oh, this person is my true friend. Only, at last I have found someone who understands me, and that kind of thing. Now that is nothing but the brain filling in the gap. Because the brain always, we are social creatures, we always want company, we always want attention. And even if the attention is not special, we would want to believe it's special. So it's kind of wishful thinking, like fake it till you make it. But it doesn't always work in real life, okay? It's not your fault, because that's how you're programmed to think. But you should also be very cautious about this, because this is unlike the example I gave you, the neuroscience, that the blind spot in your retina, that's something okay. But in this case, in human relationships and in your life strategy, you cannot ignore the blind spot. If you do, then you're running up, you're at a risk position, right? In this case, so these blind spots are non-negotiable. So that means the point is, you should always have some backup, like checks in place. You can think of your mind, your brain as a computer program or something, a very advanced computer program, and it's running all the time. It's running background checks to see if everything is okay. Because maybe on the upfront it feels like everything is okay, but maybe in the back something is not okay. So it's always running checks. And so these checks will ensure you do not form any biases. Maybe you make new friends. So of course you go out and you talk to people, you make friends. I'm not telling you that shut yourself up in the room. That's not a solution, of course. At the end of the day, we are social creatures, and to live in society, we have to abide by some basic rules of society. We have to, at times, we have to bow down, and we have to, you know what I'm talking about. That's unavoidable. But don't connect the dots without studying the background and studying everything very thoroughly, without studying what is going on at the back end. The brain, all the time, the brain fills the gaps and gives you a very superficial bird's eye view. But until and unless you have the back end picture and the thorough picture of whatever is happening or not, you're bound to form biases. You cannot avoid that, but what you can do is always run checks to keep the biases at regular intervals. You can run checks to keep the biases in control. By running checks, and of course you're not a computer, you cannot just open the settings and system update, check for updates, not that kind of thing. But you can always, maybe when you're in the night, when you're alone, or before sleep every day, or maybe once a week, you can ask yourself, so okay, this week I felt that person is good, that person is bad, but let me think about whatever our interaction so far. If that person was actually bad, I think that person is good right now, but if that person was actually bad, then could I have explained all the behavior that I have observed in that person? If yes, then there is a possibility that the person is bad, and I feel good about that person, maybe because my brain is filling the gap. So this is like you're running a check. So superficially that person appears good, but you're running a check. You're analyzing the same behavior from a different perspective. So if the person, let me assume that the person is bad, then can I explain all the behavior? If yes, then okay, maybe he's bad, maybe he's faking it. So then you're running a check. That's what I mean. So you should always be very careful about this kind of thing. So friendship is not always about, like, why I think Joker and Batman were friends. You know why? Because of course they were rivals, they were enemies, and their philosophies were vastly like clashing, opposing philosophies. One was Batman was kind of a bit idealistic. He believed in goodness and okay, I will do good for society even if I have to suffer and all. Like I will always fight for justice and all. That, like, he's the conventional hero in that sense. So he always believed in goodness. So yeah, idealistic kind of thing. Joker, on the other hand, was a nihilistic, has a nihilistic viewpoint. He rejected all moral values, like there is no morality. He said that the only way to live in this world is to live without rules. Now, why was he telling this? And the Joker went great lengths to prove that. I mean, to just prove his point. He like all the things that he did through the movie. If I watch the movie, otherwise I cannot, like, narrate each and every point in the movie. That would make the video very long. And that would also be a spoiler kind of thing. If you have not watched The Dark Knight, I would definitely suggest you to watch it. It's kind of 3 movies, the Batman trilogy of Christopher Nolan. So it would be good if you can watch all the 3 movies. Though personally, I didn't like the 3rd movie at all, the Dark Knight Rises. The first movie, Batman Begins, was a pretty good movie, though the best, of course, was The Dark Knight. It's the second movie. I mean, even if you have not watched the first and third movie, you can make sense of the second, but it's good to watch all 3 in my opinion. Though don't expect the other 2 movies to be as good as The Dark Knight. Yeah, just as a kind of, the point is, the Joker actually said that the only way to live in this world is to live without rules, because all the rules and all this, whatever we have made, the rules and the laws and the moral values on which society stands, Joker sees all of this as a joke, kind of a bad joke, because that's what he said, that when the chips are down, these civilized people, they will eat each other. So on the superficial level, everyone is very civilized and know, like, we are humans, we follow the rules of society and all, but when their own interest is affected, these humans will, it only takes a second to turn them against one another, and they will become as uncivilized as they will even go lengths to eat each other. When there are riots and all, we have seen this in real life, right? When there are riots and all, in the movie also, the Joker also created many such situations to actually show the real face of the so-called civilized humans. So Joker didn't want destruction or didn't want to kill people just for the sake of, he wanted to prove that society and the moral values, they're all inherently meaningless. And at the end of the day, everything is chaos. Like, chaos is the only thing that is fair. Because when there are rules, that means the rules, someone has made the rules. And the rules are always made in such a way that they will, favor the maker of the rules. Because there are rules, there is law and order in place, but still the crimes are, like, there are some inhuman activities going on all over the world, brutality. And the wealth disparity is increasing between poor people and rich people. Now why? If there are laws in place, right, but still it's increasing. The laws are always made in such a way that the powerful people will not be affected, even if they do something wrong. The rich people will not be affected, right? So then it's not really fair. Order is not really fair. On the other hand, if there was chaos, and by chaos, Joker means complete anarchy in society, like there is no government, no rules, nothing. That would be very horrible, because anybody can kill anyone. It would be total chaos and riot kind of thing. But from a logical point of view, maybe emotionally people would, like, not be very unstable, and we don't really want that kind of society in real life. In a movie, it's fine. But still, logically, if you think about that complete chaos, then at least people would be, that would be more fair in a way, because then your money cannot buy you anything. Because there is no court, there is no order, there is no judge that you can bribe using money, that, oh, I did a crime, but I'm powerful, I'm rich, so just leave me. You can do chaos, like anything can happen to anyone. So in that sense, it's more fair. That's why Joker said chaos is fair in the movie. And then that famous quote, that madness is like gravity, all it takes is a little push. Right. So basically, I mean, yeah, that's what now let me finally, in this video, let me finally analyze this unstoppable, immovable quote. Okay, and we'll also use physics a little bit. Yeah, so see, Friendship Day, I mean, how do we define friends? It did not be like I was telling through all this time. It did not be someone who is always through you, who is always by your side. That can give you a temporary, immediate comfort and everything, but you know, to analyze whether this person is really essential for my existence. So in a way, Joker couldn't exist without Batman. I mean, Joker himself said that you complete me to Batman. That means, even though they were shown to be like rivals and arch enemies, but without Joker, Batman's life would be boring, and without Batman, Joker's life would be boring. That's why they said like this is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Because it's not a question of who is more powerful, who will win, and who will lose. Because neither can out of them, both are very powerful in a way. I mean, maybe Joker is not that kind of. Batman is technologically and by sheer strength, Batman is much more powerful. In a fist fight, Batman would win. Even in a technological fight, Batman would win. But psychological manipulation, anarchy, spreading chaos, Joker is also pretty powerful in that sense. He did a lot of, and I mean the point is, both the characters had a very troubled childhood. Batman lost his parents, but still Batman was a rich family in a rich family, and he got some support. Joker didn't, as far as I know. I mean, they were kind of you could think of Joker and Batman as two faces of the same coin. One couldn't exist without the other. Because Joker said that to Batman, that you would not kill me because you have this sense of self-righteousness that I cannot kill. You believe that you are good, and I would not kill you because I think you are too much fun. So I mean, they kind of one cannot live without the other, one cannot exist without the other. So if someone justifies your existence, I mean, of course you should consider that person as your friend, even if you have a relation like Joker Batman, you're kind of an like enemy on the above your like rivals. So Batman is like an unstoppable force, like nobody can stop him. He's very powerful. On the other hand, Joker is like an immovable object. Nobody can move him. So Batman is trying to move Joker, and we're like, if something can move, I mean, it's an unstoppable force. Nothing can stop it. So maybe he will succeed in moving the object. On the other hand, it's not an ordinary object. It's an immovable object. So nothing can actually move it. So of course, from a physics point of view, or even from a logical point of view, it's a contradiction. In the same logical universe, both an unstoppable force and an immovable object cannot exist together, cannot exist simultaneously, because one contradicts the other. If there is an immovable object, that means there cannot be an unstoppable force, because by definition, this object can stop the force. The force is not unstoppable, because if the object cannot stop the force, then the object will itself move. But we are saying it's an immovable object. So you understand the kind of the paradox. Now, if we try to analyze this quote from a physics point of view, force is mass into acceleration, right? F equals ma. That's actually not the best way to say it. Actually, a equals F by m. Acceleration depends on the force and the mass. So we always write the dependence on the left hand side and independence, like the main parameters, on the right hand side. So in Newton's theory, force is kind of an input. The force is given to you and the mass is also given to you. So you can calculate the acceleration. That's d2x by dt squared, the second order differential equation. So yeah, mathematically, numerically, you get the same answer. You write a equals f over m, or you write f equals ma. It's the same thing. Yeah, numerically they are the same thing. But it's best to write a equals f over m, not f equals ma. Because a depends on f and m. F is a given here. It's not like f depends on m and a. I mean, that's how Newton's theoretical framework. I mean, of course, if m and a is given to you, you can multiply them and get the force. Numerically, you will get the right answer. That's not what I'm saying. So a equals f by m. Acceleration equals force divided by the mass of an object, of a body. So if the body is unstoppable, if the force is unstoppable, that means f equals infinite, right? Unstoppable force means the force should be infinite. F should be infinite. So f by m. So if f is, for f to be infinite, you actually need a to be infinite, acceleration to be infinite, right? Yes. Now for acceleration to be infinite, you need to like give infinite amount of energy to the body so that it keeps on accelerating and accelerating and accelerating. If a is infinite, then f is also infinite, because a equals f over m for a finite mass body, of course, right? So that means you need to give the body an infinite amount of energy. Only then you can get an unstoppable force. Now this is not possible in physics. In Newtonian physics, you cannot have infinite amount of acceleration, infinite amount of energy. Even in special theory of relativity, or in relativity in general, you cannot have infinite amount of energy. If you could actually, in practice, if you could provide infinite energy to the body, then that body would accelerate to the speed of light, which is not allowed in relativity. In quantum mechanics also, you cannot really have an infinite amount of, you cannot give infinite amount of energy to the body. There are always some fluctuations, some limitations in the quantum world, some uncertainty. Infinite amount of energy is not allowed, even in quantum theory, right? There are some limitations, Planck scale, Planck energy, and all those stuff. So even the Big Bang, that was not really infinite. It was a very dense and a small point. Energy concentration was huge then, but that was not really infinite amount of energy. If I put it that way, but again, it's best not to comment about the Big Bang, because the Big Bang and like black holes, they are singularities. So it's often said that they have an infinite amount of curvature, the black hole singularity, an infinite amount of energy. So it's best not to comment on them, because today our physics, we don't have the required theoretical framework to actually analyze these singularities and Big Bang. We don't know enough about the initial conditions of the universe. We don't know enough about the Big Bang. So maybe it could be, in our present understanding, it could be infinite. Maybe, I don't know. But you understand the point. So unstoppable force. As for immovable object, well, again, a equals f by m. So for some object to be immovable, that means its acceleration should always be 0, even if you're giving some force. So f is non-zero, but a is 0. So 0, a equals f over m. So 0 equals some non-zero quantity over m. So the only possibility is the mass should be infinite, because any finite number divided by infinity tends to 0. So if I have a body of infinite mass, then that would technically be an immovable body. No matter whatever force I give, I cannot move the body. Again, that's not allowed in Newtonian physics. It's not allowed. Mass cannot be infinite. It doesn't make any sense. Even in relativity, it is not allowed. If we talk about infinite mass, then that means the body will collapse into the black hole, right? If you talk about infinite mass, the body will collapse into a black hole. It will form a singularity. Infinite mass means infinite gravitational attraction, infinite curvature, right? Gravitational force is depends on the mass. So there's the problem. So physically, this is a contradiction. Doesn't make sense. Immovable force is not possible. Sorry, immovable object is not possible. Unstable force is also not possible. And both of them together contradict each other. But even individually, they are not possible, and they together again they contradict one another. So even that is not possible. Of course, it's just a way of speaking. I mean, it's just a quote in the movie. Of course, Christopher Nolan didn't. He knows that it's not possible in reality. But yeah, I think this quote beautifully highlights the relation between Batman and Joker. Like, nobody can. They're kind of like a paradox. One contradicts the other. Yet in the movie, though in physics it's not possible, but in the movie they kind of coexist. Not only that, one makes the other's existence meaningful. One makes the other's life interesting. So that's a kind of a beautiful kind of thing. I don't know why. Like on Friendship Day, people think of some more emotional friendships. Maybe, I don't know. Like maybe Harry Potter. In Harry Potter, the friendship between Harry, Ron, and Hermione, or that kind of thing. But I was reminded of Joker and Batman. They're not at all friends at first glance. But I think their relation is more than just enemies. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, your only friend is you. That's also true. At the end of the day, your only friend is yourself. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say in this video. And of course, I will not wish Happy Friendship Day. That's not the point of this video. But I gave you some important insights. Maybe again, these are just my personal views. Not all of them are right, correct, and everything. And yeah, I hope you find these things insightful. I won't say you find this meaningful, because again, as a nihilist, I think everything is inherently meaningless. Nothing is meaningful. There are some people will say that no, you are too young to understand this, but something meaningful takes time. So maybe you'll realize one day in your life. My answer to that would be I understand why something meaningful takes time, because inwardly we all know that it's all meaningless. So we take some time to convince ourselves that despite knowing it's meaningless, we have to convince ourselves that it's meaningful. So that takes time, but that doesn't make it inherently meaningful. And with that kind of strange note, let me end this video. Thank you for watching.